on this for about 45 minutes. I woke up to a bunch of messages. Shit, dude. So much has happened since I went to bed. I went to bed last night at like 10. And obviously, we got to talk about Keyshawn Davis, the weight miss. We got to talk about the weigh-ins with Wardley and Hooney. We got to talk about Dan Raphael, his most recent tweet. So I'll let this simmer. Guys, wherever you are, like this video. We have an interesting weekend ahead of us. There's already fights happening right now. Our long parlay is active. We won our fights in Montreal. And we're looking good headed into today. The Josh Kelly card is going on right now. So I'm not getting a stream. I know Wasserman Boxing in the UK is promoting that fight, I think on regular TV or cable TV. But I can't find it. I had the undercard on YouTube, and DAZN doesn't have it. So if anyone has that stream, the Josh Kelly fight, that's supposed to go down shortly. It's supposed to take place in less than a half hour. So yeah, wherever you guys are, I say welcome. Ask away. I got 45 minutes. I got about 5 active parlays working. I woke up to a bunch of messages on my YouTube channel. I appreciate you, Carlos, talking about where my I already posted my parlays. Carlos in the house. Appreciate the support. So the parlays are posted in the post section. So scroll down like 10 posts. You'll see the 20-legger. I posted the method of victory. I posted a knockdown parlay. And then I asked you guys about a method of victory for De Los Santos and then also the Hooney fight. But I just watched the weigh-ins. Hooney weighed in heavier than Wardley, so he's going to have the weight advantage. And then Keyshawn Davis misses weight. So Keyshawn Davis weighed in at over 4 pounds over the championship weight, meaning that he's stripped of his title. So he lost his title on the scales. If he wins, it's still vacant. And this is probably why I'm not saying the camps knew about it, but when you look at the rankings, last night and the night before, Abdullah Mason got elevated. I don't know if he got elevated close to the #1 contender spot. What's good, Johnny? What's up, GOAT? So Keyshawn misses weight, weighs in at 139. If he wins, he doesn't have the belt. He doesn't have the belt now. He got stripped. Cedric, too big, already been talking about moving up. Yep, trying to kill himself. Exactly. So I've been seeing posts thinking about that this is going to play. People were like, oh, Keyshawn misses weight. I'm definitely betting on De Los Santos. Not so quick. I wouldn't do that. I don't think Keyshawn's scared at all. I don't think Keyshawn's scared. No, he's definitely not scared. But they are in the fight game. If he already thought he was moving up to 40 and he wants an advantage, what's up, Victor? And he's looking for a slight advantage. This is what Garcia did against Haney. You Garcia fans didn't say anything. This is what's crazy about boxing. You Ryan Garcia fans, Garcia not only missed weight, he popped dirty for PEDs, and you guys still defend him. Keyshawn does it, misses by 4 pounds, and now people are saying, oh, they're going to pick De Los Santos. No. It is crazy. It's not professional. Why would someone come in above the weight make someone think the other guy will win? Yeah. So if you look at the statistics, guys, of guys who miss weight and the fight still goes on, yeah, Keyshawn, it's over. They win over 70%. It's not like he misses weight and he's going to lose. If you know anything about weight cutting, if you guys have ever had to cut weight before, whether it was, for a fight, some of you guys are, lifters, some got powerlifting competitions, you have weight classes, wrestling, the last few pounds is the worst. The last few pounds that you need to cut, you're in hell. All them stay around waiting for a tank payday. They should have been out at 135. Yeah, Toya brings up very valid point there. We talked about it all week, how big Keyshawn was for the division, how much, how long will he stay at 35? I think those in the know knew he was moving up. Do you think truly outgrew? I think so. Well, Jose, I think it was a tactic. 100% I think it was a tactic. I do. I think he's huge for the division. He's 26 years old. So I do believe that. And I also believe that he was moving up afterwards. Did he use that 4 pounds as an advantage? I think so, mate. I think so. It doesn't matter. Cutweight is part of the sport. That's why I agree, Toy. You have to be professional. The weight's no excuse. Making weight is the first fight. That's what my coach always said. And this was when we were kids. Your first fight is always on the scale. So you have you have your training camp, get through it healthy. You have weigh-ins, which is your first fight, and then you have fight night. And so you ask all fighters, it's a big deal. Now, Keyshawn was, he said things didn't feel right against Baranchik. He was shocked that he was able to make weight then. I just watched his interview, and he said it didn't fit. He tried to make weight last night. Do you know what Keyshawn gave up? I'm not sure, T. Rich, but the interesting thing about this is Dan Raphael, well, forever, if you want to believe that guy or not, he says that the fight isn't, he claims that it's not, the contracts aren't signed. I mean, the announcers on Top Rank said that the fight was still going down. But Dan Raphael, if you go to X, he just tweeted out that De Los Santos' camp said that they haven't come to an agreement yet in terms of how much of his purse he's going to get from Keyshawn. And until they come to an agreement, the fight isn't going forward. Did you guys hear anything about that? No money for the weights. Santos' manager was just, okay. So is the Toya, is it going forward? Is Dan Raphael just, spreading false rumors? Because that has me kind of scrambling. They're serving up Santos to get played. Yeah, Santos did not look good either. Did you guys see him? Wait, Santos didn't look. Yeah, I didn't hear about that. I hope it still goes on. Me too. And guys, I stayed away from this fight on my long parlay, but I do have this fight on a method of victory. Yeah. Keyshawn by knockout. Carlos, if anything, guys, if you're still hesitant on where your money is, and I told you the odds would probably get lower, I thought Keyshawn stops him yesterday. I think he stops him even more now on Key by knockout regardless. Yeah, Landslide knows what time it is. Is anybody getting the Josh Kelly feed? Because I had some crazy people in my comments talking about Flavia Bea was going to stop Kelly. And I was like, what? Because Josh Kelly, Wasserman Boxing, put this fight together, which nobody heard of. I never heard of Flavia Bea before. 24-1, Romanian fighter. People think that Kelly beats Bea. Kelly fights Conor Benn. They took off Keyshawn knockout. See, that's interesting. I took it last night. I got it. Landslide, me too. Facts. Yeah, see, Carlos, this is why the channel, this is why, I really have a lot of respect for you guys on my channel. Everybody speaks facts. Wherever you are, guys, let's like this video. If you got it on FanDuel, go, man, double tap that. If anyone can do it, it's Keyshawn. Yeah. And I don't like the body language De Los Santos was even showing before he found out Keyshawn was missing weight. Maybe Edwin knew before we all knew. But he didn't look energized on the scale. He looked like he had a tough weight cut. But we'll see. So Fabio Wardley and Hooney just had their stare down. I talked about it. Hooney, I think he weighed in bigger than he usually does. He definitely weighed in heavier than Wardley. And I see there's a lot of money now coming back on Hooney. So that fight is interesting to watch the odds go like this. A lot of the people across the pond in the UK have Wardley winning. Any thoughts on Keyshawn? Yeah, D, great question. I saw all those. I watched the weigh-ins. And DB3, we're talking about the Davis brothers. They all look good on the scales. I'm stunned that Keyshawn. I know. I am stunned too, Adam. I am stunned. But the one of the Davis brothers that people seem a bit torn on is the Calvin fight versus Albright. And so I've stayed away from that fight on my parlay, Calvin versus Albright, because it's an interesting fight. When you look at, Albright, he's fought. We still have a knockout prep for Mason. I got Mason by stoppage at $1.27, but I mean Nakatani will be tough until he isn't. And I got 4-leg today, Price Taylor. Yeah, same thing. Manny, I got the same thing working minus the Lazada fight. If anything, Keyshawn more likely to knock out Edwin. I did not watch Haney versus Haney. He's more skilled. Kelvin looked thin. Albright looked good. Yeah, so my landslide, the reason why that is Kelvin is a natural. You see how big Kelvin is. He fights at 147. Albright fights at 135. They're meeting at 140. So 5 pounds doesn't seem like a lot, but when Kelvin has to cut weight to get to 47. So he must have saw something in Albright's past performances to even agree to this fight. But it is an interesting fight. From the time it got signed, I didn't wager any money on it, but I think that Kelvin should win. I think he should be able to get the decision. Do you got any thoughts on Lozada? I'm taking Keyshawn with a 5th round stoppage. Let me see if the Lozada fight, guys. Yeah. Nah, only because, guys, when fighters have one career fight, I kind of stay away from it. He's talking about that's on the Hall of Fame card. So the Hall of Fame card starts soon. Brandon Moore is headlining. Brandon Moore is fighting Stanley Wright. It's a heavyweight fight. That's another tough fight to bet on considering these guys are heavies. These guys are right now at the domestic level. I know a lot of big bettors who avoid domestic level heavyweights because you never know what's going to happen. Kelvin going to beat him down? I think so. And I like Kelvin. Even though Kelvin looks super drained, I still like his body language on the scales. So I'm comfortable with that pick. If you guys picked him, assuming Keyshawn wins, Keyshawn goes to 140, guys. Keyshawn goes to 140. Think about the names. I think he should have. I thought he was going to leave after he beat Baranchik, to be honest with you. I have Franchon Cruz on the same. A lot of people were talking about Keyshawn was already struggling to make 35. When you see him train, when you see like him, in camp, he is a big dude. Like in terms of the weight class, I think he'll be good at 40. Does Brandon Moore fight? And Brandon headlines, Mike. Brandon headlines that it's on DAZN. If you guys have the DAZN streaming app, Brandon Moore headlines. He's 17-1. It's for the USBA heavyweight title. Stanley Wright is 14-0. But like I said, these guys are domestic level heavyweights, and the odds. It would be, I was even thinking it might be worth sprinkling something on the underdog, Stanley Wright. Stanley Wright's the underdog, but I wouldn't invest too much in that bet. Like I said, I really don't feel comfortable adding domestic level heavyweights, whether it's in America, UK, or even Australia, to my parlay. Does somebody get stopped? I see that happening, Mike. And that's why if you look at the odds, let's go to those odds real quick. If you guys, depending on how much tape have you seen Lozada box? Yeah, Manny, I've heard of Lozada, but I kind of have my own rules and my own methodology when I bet. And usually fighters, there's rare cases with under a handful of fights, I tend to leave them off. But Lozada by decision would probably be the move. Let's see, Brandon Moore. Yeah, guys, this fight goes down in a few hours. Brandon Moore, Stanley Wright. Brandon Moore on the money line is 141. 4 pounds is crazy. Yeah. And you got to think, guys, that last 4 pounds is, fluid. It's going to be hydration in the brain. It's going to be circulatory system. It's going to be, energy. It's going to be recovery. When we weight drain, when you're depleted, your recovery takes a hit. Your durability takes a hit. So I do think it was tactical. I'm not saying he did it on purpose. Lara missed weight versus Wood, lost. Garcia missed weight, Kyron Davis lost. Jacobs missed weight versus Mosley, lost. I read Keyshawn was eating chips in camp. Yeah, those are 3. You gave me 3 specifics of fighters missing and lost. Now let's list of fighters missing and won. I'm not saying he's going to lose. No, Fresh, I think it's playing in his favor. Fight not to go the distance is 102. Okay, so if you want Brandon Moore by decision, well, Brandon Moore on the money line is 141. Stanley Wright is 320. So Stanley Wright's a little bit 2-1 dog. If you think Moore is going to win decision, 255. Moore to win by stoppage, 285. So the money thinks that Moore is going to win, but it could go either way. Now, Stanley Wright by knockout or decision is 590. So 5-1 odds. Like I said, I think Mason's getting the stoppage 5-7. Toya, I'm high on Mason. Like I said, I think Nakatani, Jeremiah will be tough until he's not. There's a million fights this weekend, Mike. Why bet on this sloppy domestic? Yeah, GOAT. Exactly. I think, but GOAT, it's tough for us sometimes to not get our eyes big when we see these odds. It's also alarming when Bomac said we focus on skills more so than making weight. Who do you favor between Teofimo and Keyshawn if it happens? Yeah, Jose, with what I've heard from Teofimo's camp yesterday and how they're shelving Teofimo for the foreseeable next quarter of the year. Do you think, Antonio Perez wins? Once again, domestic guys, I really don't like picking method of victories. I'm taking Antonio Perez on my money line. Depending on your odds, it's up to you. I don't like what I'm hearing out of Teofimo's camp. Even though he looked good against ABJ, people said he looked great. I don't know. It was a good performance. We always have to, with Teofimo, the X factor is which Teofimo are we going to get? The mental health issues, which he's been open about, which is fine. It's a tough sport. He's still a young guy. I don't like predicting future fights when there's so many variables with one side or the. And Keyshawn just missed weight. Was that a Top Rank video, like a fight hype video? Yeah, the Bomac. I didn't see Bomac saying that they weren't. Yeah, usually I never really see Bomac giving hints about their camp. I think it'll be early. All right, that's anybody. Good. I just like the money line. Add a parlay. Didn't know it would be worth messing with them. Yeah, there's a lot of guys on the stream who bet for a living, who take it serious. So over time, asking the proper questions, you'll learn methods. Methodology is important when you're winning money, because an amateur gambler will see odds and the eyes will get big. Oh, 5-1. And then we'll say 9 bets you win. But if you want to be a consistent winner, you have to have your own methods and boundaries. Yeah, I feel, Mike, personally, I'd leave it alone. You don't want some fat heavyweight. Yeah. And this is what I'm talking about. The top rank video. So Kai and Fresh are talking about, I think, the Bomac comment with Keyshawn, and then Goat's giving advice on having methods and margins about how to actually bet. Yeah, the last thing you want is, and you know what, Goat? I'm adding main event fights under $1.10 on the money line off of my parlay. After seeing what happened to Josh Taylor, after seeing what happened to Caleb Plant, the risk isn't worth the reward. You know, you hit 15 fights and the 16th is the main event at $1.06 for what? I'm referencing the Caleb Plant, and he loses. So moving forward, and I did it this week, I stayed away from the main events when the odds were so drastic. So like I said, in my prediction series on my YouTube channel, I predicted Keyshawn to beat De Los Santos, but I don't have Keyshawn on my money line ticket. I have that fight on a separate parlay, a method of victory. But my long parlay, if you look at it, I didn't bet the Keyshawn fight, and because of that. So I like the odds on a stoppage, though, on its own thing. And I took the odds on a stoppage for Wardley and Hooney, or a knockdown. I have a knockdown parlay, and the Ryan Garcia fight. Main events are interesting. I feel like the oddest things happen in the main events. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Tafian will be tweaking sometimes in terms of what he says and stuff. Hopefully he stays focused. Yeah, well, Jose, exactly when you see... Yeah, I took Josh Kelly. Is anyone getting that Kelly fight? I like Callum Simpson to win. I'm high on Callum Simpson. It's going to be a tough fight. Zuko gets scrapped. Zuko get pop. And you know, it's not a 50-50. I think Callum is propelled to take that next level. That belt that they're fighting for, that British belt, the winner generally gets either a world contender fight or a world title opportunity. And Callum Simpson could crack. Yeah, is anyone watching the Josh Kelly fight? I can't find a stream. I did my first video on Kelly like 5 years ago. So I've been covering his career since a little after he turned pro. Yeah, we got Kelly fight on FanDuel, but I'm going to leave that one alone. Okay, yeah. Because if you look at my breakdown of the Kelly versus Bea fight and read the comments, the Romanians came out in full force. They're saying for Bea to win a decision, I think it's 48-1, 47-1. So if you have $5 or $10 and you want to sprinkle something on a crazy outcome, it's a fight worth looking at. But I think Josh handles him easily. Koki, what's up, guys? Wherever you are, like this video. I'm going to be able to keep the chat going for at least another 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Like I said, it is 6 a.m. here in Sydney. And I got to start my Saturday morning early because I got to talk to you guys. We got to take care of business. We have to talk about boxing, but I have to go spar. And then I have one more training session. I'll be back doing a live during the Brandon Moore card. Koki, yeah. He doesn't value the titles. Just on, you changed your bet since the way... you changed your bet since the way in it all. Since the way in... Oh, no. I think since the way in... Are we talking about Keyshawn or Justice? I think Tiger taking this. Yeah. Toya, between you and me, I'm high on Tiger Johnson. Very high. I like his camp. I like his progress. I like how they've progressing him. And I like how he looked last fight at 47, his first fight. You're only as good as your last fight. He answered a lot of questions. He was fighting Kendo Tremendo Castaneda, a guy who been in tough fights, never been stopped. And Tiger looked great, sharp, accurate, and stopped him. Keyshawn will not knock out Santos. I respect your reasoning, but you can't just make a blanket statement with caps with no reasoning. Tell us why. Because I could definitely see a path to victory with Keyshawn stopping Santos. I could see Keyshawn outboxing him. I could see Keyshawn breaking his body down. Yeah, but no, a lot of guys haven't been stopped until they've been stopped. You know, all it takes is one. Why you say that, Blam? Yeah, I could see Keyshawn breaking the body down and then stopping him mid to late rounds. Keyshawn's a lot. I mean, whenever there's undefeated young fighters who are good on the mic too, they're gonna have their fans and they're gonna have their haters. When I'm looking at fighters like that, I'm looking at their skill set, their path, their ways to win, their toolbox, And yeah, he missed weight. Super unprofessional. He got stripped, but Keyshawn is a great fighter. Yeah, DLS got hurt against Ryo, and Ryo was super drained. I sparred 15 rounds today. Koki in the house. Santos, yeah, Santos did look drained. You know, and we'll find out tomorrow. Yeah, solid defense. I'm interested to see how Tiger looks against the guy. Tiger hasn't impressed me. Teach, you didn't like Tiger's last fight. He impressed me. And I was sold on him before. I was glad that he moved up. I like Tiger at 47. Yeah, Keyshawn missed weight by 4 pounds, DJ. Method of victory. Mike, I have Tiger on my parlay, on my long parlay, just to win. At the time, I didn't have opportunity. What's up, Don Julio? Keyshawn too big. Yeah, Keyshawn weighed in 4 pounds overweight. Yeah, and Keyshawn was honest. He said he outgrew the division. Believe that if you want. Now, Andy Cruz isn't going to move up to 140. The rumor is BM. Keyshawn's out at 135. 2 years off making weight tells you he's a true professional. Yeah. Did you guys listen to the analysts? The ladies doing Tiger will, yeah. Boca Chica. Guys, Boca Chica hasn't had a win since 2021. Everyone's high on Boca Chica to beat Tiger. Hasn't had a win since 2021. 5 years he hasn't won a fight. Santos. The ladies who were doing the weigh-ins were doing the breakdown side by side of Edwin and Keyshawn. They're like, everything is close except the age. And then there was a long pause, and then one lady goes, Edwin's 25 and Keyshawn's 26. Even the announcers were shocked. They didn't do their homework. It's amazing who they put to narrate our boxing world. These people don't even know what they're talking about. Be rooting for De Los Santos over that way. I understand why, but the villain. Yeah, I never cheer for a guy. I'm looking at the skill set when I'm cheering for guys. I love Hitchens versus Keyshawn. I could see that happening. They don't know shit. Tiger by points. Mike, depending on how much money you're playing with, I take if you have a long parlay working or you want to build a parlay around Tiger, do the money line. If you want to sprinkle a one-off, take him by stoppage. De Los Santos 9-12. Santos looks old. Yeah, are you betting on the heavyweights tonight? I'm staying away from the. We're talking about the Brandon Moore fight. I don't like betting on domestic level heavyweights. What do you think of Keyshawn? GAR is one of my favorite fighters. Mate, that's a great. Excuse me, that's a great question. GAR versus Keyshawn at 40. I'm tuning in. I love watching GAR. I'm definitely tuning in. That's a fun fight, Adam. The breakdown video was sus. What if he gets a draw? Yeah, the draw, at least in Australia, guys, where I live, my betting app forces us to do three-way betting. So our odds are going to be higher. But if it's a draw, our parlay and bet is ruined. Because you have money line, winner, money line, loser, and then the draw. And so that draw changes the odds. You wasn't looking at the skill set when you was cheering for Raleigh. No, but I picked Ryan to win. Fresh? Good point. I picked Ryan to win, but I was cheering for Raleigh. That's a different thing, mate. I'm a fan of Raleigh, but I thought Ryan was going to beat him. It's always easier to look back. And great call. You're right. I'm not going to ever... Raleigh got... Yeah, but come on, guys. Come on, Koki. Going into that fight, nobody was giving Raleigh a chance. And everybody was talking about Ryan's lead hook. Nobody was talking about Raleigh's. It's insane. And I'm so happy for Raleigh getting that Vic. But I did not see that coming. If you guys could sit with yourself and really say you saw that coming, you saw something I didn't see. GAR, who is he fighting next? I don't even know if he has a fight scheduled, mate. And that's one of my biggest things with no, you're thinking of Brian Norman Jr. Brian Norman Jr. is in at 147. As always, I appreciate your knowledge. Rich Blackman, I appreciate you too. I appreciate the support. Guys, wherever you're tuning in, let's like the video. I'm going to do, let me see if we got Gary Antoine. No, Katie overweight, first title defense. I know, 4 pounds. I found the clip is Keyshawn most recent YouTube vlog. Bomac said he's more focused on honing Keyshawn's skills opposed to cutting weight. Maybe, but that plays into the narrative, guys, of their camp already knew he was going up to 140. Gary Antoine Russell, next fight. I'm not seeing anything signed, guys. 135, 140 pound. I'm going to check that out, Kai. Yeah, GAR looked great against Valent Rayo. So yeah, I'd love whoever brought that up. Keyshawn said he's moving up to 40. You know, he looks great against Edwin. Walks right into a title shot against GAR. I don't know who I would pick in that fight. Obviously we have to just play it ear by ear, right? Unprofessionals. He'll never be co-signed that type. He'll never be co-signed that type of activity with Bud. I don't know if fighters. I mean, Bud just landed in Virginia. If you follow his Instagram, Bud was here in Australia. He got stranded on the airport for a long time. It's a long flight. He flew back to the States just to be in Virginia for his boy. I don't think a close mate, you know, a brother type of figure, your opinion would change on them because they miss weight. That sounds kind of wild to me. Guys, making weight is tough. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially Keyshawn's not a small dude. He's not a small frame. When you look at his body composition, he doesn't carry body fat. He doesn't get too out of shape either. So it's not like a case of like, you know, think about fighters in the past. You see them in camp. You see them in between fights blowing out. Ricky Hatton, you know, and then them cutting weight and they miss weight. That's not what this is. I just think physically and, you know, his natural growth. We talked about it yesterday on the live stream. I could see Keyshawn ending at 47 or maybe even 54 before it's all said and done. He's only 26 years old. Look, Bud's 36, 37. Look where Bud was at 26. He was fighting at 135. I get it, becoming a young man. You know what I mean? And this is something we have to watch out with a lot of these young guys in that division. Think about Abdullah. Abdullah's going to get big. Keyshawn heavy on that front, but he's not a good boxer. I totally disagree. I disagree with your take there. I think Keyshawn's a hell of a boxer. I think his counters are really good. If anything, Keyshawn needs to watch out with exchanging with Edwin when they're punching together. So sometimes he gets a little loose here, and rather than coming here, it's here. And rather than coming here, it's here. So it's all the small little details of the guard and where people could find the openings. But he's going to be more durable. Champy, I disagree. I don't think Mason's a hype job at all. I think Mason's legit. He's a great puncher, a great student of the game too. You look how young he is, him elevating. Yeah, I totally disagree. Bet over the time. Bet the over on the time for Abdullah fight. I think Abdullah definitely stops Jeremiah. I just think of mid to late rounds. Yeah, but experience. I get that too. But Abdullah's not going in there. You know, I'd still definitely would say Abdullah's not. He's not polished. He's still young. He's a young prospect. It's a great test for him. And I like how they're moving his career. He doesn't have any too far to go, though, because with Keyshawn vacating, getting stripped, bro just came in the chat dropping hot takes. He did, didn't he? Expected people to agree with him, too. Mason is fireworks. I can't wait for Keyshawn versus Frank. Well, Frank already... What happened to Frank Martin? Frank Martin, he already talked about he's at 140. He's not fighting at 35 again. Has a small neck. Damn, we're out. I mean, Abdullah isn't, like I said, polished. We saw him get clipped. We saw him get dropped. We also saw him pick himself up as a young prospect and finish the show. Whenever Abdullah fights, however his career ends, whatever it may be, whatever his legacy may be over the next 10 to 15 years, I'm watching Abdullah fight. Who you got winning the Puello? Alberto Puello outboxes Matias. Matias, we know how to beat Matias. Pero beat Matias. Pero does not beat Alberto Puello. Well, since Keyshawn's going to 140, is the black Inoue. Just because they got dropped and got up and dropped their guys? Frank Martin said he's waiting on a callback. Yeah, Frank Martin, Frank looks good against Tank. Now, Frank looked good until he didn't, and a lot of the Frank looking good in that fight was Tank setting him up. Tank set a trap that took a few rounds. Adorno was scared to engage with De Los Santos and went at it with Elvis Rodriguez. Good enough to put. Yeah, people always like mentioning that Joseph Adorno fight. He's a big underdog because he's Dominican. It's 85. I don't know if his ethnicity has anything to do with him being an underdog. I think he's an underdog because Keyshawn's a beast. Everybody looked good against Tank. Yeah, exactly. And Tank sets traps. Tank is a patient guy in terms of his game plan. And, you know, I'm not the biggest Tank guy here. You know, this is not a Tank fanboy channel, so I'm very critical of Tank in his career. But him against Frank, watching that whole setup, people who know the sport saw that coming from the second round on. Jitterbug, I got Hooney winning that fight. I took Hooney in my breakdown. Frank gets by on athleticism. Yeah, James, good point. And what Tank has is the eye and the IQ of seeing the flaws in Frank's offense and defense. Watch from the first round, every feint Tank would throw, whether it's a head or a foot feint, Frank would bite on it. And you see Tank laughing at him because he knows what's coming. Adorno didn't want to engage with him. De Los Santos was mid against William Foster. He got neutralized. I'm not sold on De Los Santos, guys. I've said it the whole time. Prove me wrong, Edwin. If Edwin goes out and starts his Keyshawn on my next live, you know me, I'll say I was wrong. I don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, he stopped Ryo. Ryo was huge at 35. He was weight drained. We saw Ryo replenish in what he did when he won the belt. And then we saw what GIR did to him. It's boxing. Shakur did not land more than 3 punches. That means he's a sick boxer. All right, how many punches did Edwin land? Edwin couldn't land a punch. It's boxing. It's not called phone booth boxing. It's boxing. You know what I mean? And people were like, yeah, Canelo didn't land a punch against Skull. He didn't. That fight was terrible too. I know the narrative going around, oh, Skull was moving the whole time. Canelo, why is boxing, why is the ring called the squared circle? Why is it called the squared circle? Because the circumference of a circle is 360 degrees, okay? How many 90-degree angles are in 360 degrees? 4. So there's 4 corners in a boxing ring. When you're training in a boxing ring, you've trained in a matrix. You have this quadrant, this quadrant, this quadrant, and this quadrant. You use the middle to cut the ring off. This is day 1 stuff when you're teaching corporate Australians to box with their footwork. Canelo wasn't doing that. Edwin wasn't doing that. To cut the ring off, it's not super technical. What it does go against is a puncher's sort of movement pattern. So if you're a boxer puncher, it's not in your movement patterns or in your sort of methodology to constantly cut the ring off. And so that, in my eyes, as a boxer, when I see guys at the high level, like Edwin, like Canelo, who struggle to cut the ring off, I look at that as like, that's a flaw in their toolbox. I don't look at that as, oh, Skull ran the whole time or Shakur ran the whole time. A full well-rounded boxer should be able to cut the ring off. And Edwin landed what? The least amount of punches ever in a world title fight, or at least up there. And same thing with Canelo. So it takes skill to do that. Edwin didn't have to do that. The other guy wanted to exchange, took advantage of Ryo and knocked him out. Yeah, we'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I don't see in Edwin that a lot of people see in Edwin. Everyone was scared to engage with him. I mean, I've seen Edwin clipped and wobbled. I disagree with that comment as well. I don't think people were afraid to engage with him. I disagree with that. The only way who beat him was Shakur because he's had way better feet. I agree. Good. We come to a middle ground. I agree with you there. He had better feet than him. Somebody asked about Huni and Fabio. I told you I did a breakdown. I like Huni. They just had their weigh-ins. Huni weighed in about, I think, 9 pounds heavier than Wardley. Huni, has the boxing advantage. Wardley, the X factor is the power. We'll see what happens. It's an intriguing fight. I kept that fight off my money line, but I took a method of victory. In the Huni and Wardley fight, if your book allows you to take 1 knockdown, so 0.5 knockdowns plus, so all you need, you could watch the Huni-Wardley fight with neutral eyes and just hope for somebody to hit the canvas, that pays close to 2-1. So I like that bet. Same thing with Nakatani. I like that bet. Counter punchers like Teo, Canelo, Edwin struggling at southpaws who distance. They're better at cutting off the ring against Orth. Yeah, and we have to talk about the front foot as well. Styles matter. Where the lead foot is, if it's ortho versus ortho or south versus south. No, you're right. Because it changes the dynamic of the punch in your backhand and your power side. So you're circling away from a power side. You sound create a website for your free picks. Yeah, you sound. I know, digital. I'm being patient with that side of things, digital. I appreciate the feedback. I give it right now. I'm giving everything away for free. It's fine. Andy Outbox, guys. That was a different Keyshawn. Very unprofessional. I agree. Antonio Perez, Moreno, Paldo. I like these. I like these. Nathan, I'm on board. I like these. Yeah, front foot boxers. Yeah, that's why we love Styles, who are overrated punchers. So good. Would you say Edwin's an overrated puncher? So yeah, it's a conversation we had. All these questions are going to be answered. Those 16 pay 430. Nathan, I have action on all that. I like it. I like it. And I'd have to maybe message me on maybe type it out and put it on the post so I can read it. What fight you most hyped for this weekend? I'm waking up early. Yeah, Big Mike. Right now, it's 6:20 in the morning here in Sydney. The fight I'm most looking for, Junto versus Nishida, but I want to see Huni versus Wardley, and I want to see Keyshawn fight. If I had to say the one I'm most excited about, probably Keyshawn. But Nakatani is one of my favorite fighters. I think the world is still kind of, because the Japanese fans in my breakdown video are saying people are sleeping on Nishida. I'm telling you, People are sleeping on Nakatani. Nakatani is a Japanese fighter, but since he was 15 years old, he's been trained by Rudy Hernandez in East LA in Los Angeles. No one ever talks about why that matters. When you look at their fight styles and how defensively sound he is, he's not going to trade and be punch for punch, a slugging style like Inoue is, like people expect. He's going to be a little bit more patient, but he is aggressive, and he has great punch placement. He fights really well from the outside at range, but Nakatani's also equally dangerous, engaging in the pocket. And man, 30-0, 24 knockouts. Nakatani is in my top 10 pound from pound list. I think he stops Nishida. Nishida's 10-0 with 2 stoppages. Boxing will never get it. It's heyday boxing. Nate Johnson, what's up? These modern day fighters aren't throwback gladiators. Yeah, Nate. It's tough to compare and contrast eras, but it's tough to argue with your statement. The boxing heads like us who are wise enough to see those different eras. Kelly fight is in a few hours. Koki, we should feel grateful that we know the history of the sport. But then, Nate, you go back to like one of my favorite fighters was from the era before that, Homicide Hank, Henry Armstrong. If you guys are truly boxing heads, research Henry Armstrong. Homicide Hank. See how many guys he fought and how many different weight classes and how he fought. Unprofessional bum. Keyshawn lost a fan. Yeah, I'm not arguing with you on that. The guy who just said he's not a fan, but I'm a fan of the sport. I'm not a fan of fighters. So I'm coming at it and this is why I was pissed at Ryan when he missed weight against Devin. It's similar. Rock Keyshawn with a right hand down the middle, no wind up. Yeah, one punch. I know. So you're saying he beats Kelvin? I stayed away from that fight. But now here, Albright is also a 135 guy, and Kelvin's a 147 guy. And they're fighting at 140. Weight classes matter. Nate, there's warriors out there. They're just not named brand. Benavidez, Betterbe, Matias, Chisora, Inoue. Nice list. Koki, I can't argue. Boxing's filled with great guys. Gonna slip and hurt him with whatever. We'll see, Good. You're gonna come back if you're right and make me eat my words, and I'll be here saying, you were right, you were right. I like being proved wrong. It's how we make adjustments in life. We can only get better and level up in any area of our life only by looking at where we went wrong at, right? That's called having an open mindset. So I'm down for it, Good. I just don't see it. I'll be shocked. I don't see it. I think Keyshawn beats him everywhere. I think De Los Santos' best chance of beating Keyshawn is getting him to fight him in a dogfight, though. Adorno fought Elvis at 47, decided to go with it. Scared of De Los Santos, didn't engage. Yeah, Elvis is a different type of fighter. Elvis Rodriguez, he's talking about, he goes about his business differently. I wouldn't use the word afraid. I don't think guys are afraid. I think these are business decisions. Afraid, using the word afraid attaches an emotion to it. There's no fear. I think it's a business decision when guys are, thinking a certain way about their legacy or their trajectory and they see a path to victory. Guys, if you train a whole fight camp for a big puncher and your path to victory is this way, you're going to stick to a game plan if you're smart. Now, fans don't see this. Fans think they big puncher, fight his fight. They're not understanding the game plan and how smart guys have to be. This is why fight IQ, ring generalship, preparation, all matter in terms of the great fighters. There's good fighters, there's great fighters, and there's Hall of Fame fighters. You look at the Hall of Fame guys, they stick to a game plan. Their fight preparation is on points, and they don't stray away opponent to opponent. They have a sort of path to victory. Does this make Keyshawn a weight bully? In this fight, I think so. He changed his game plan when he felt that power. That's called having a plan B and C. 7-12, 350. You haven't watched his fights, I promise. De Los Santos manager, promoter, better get a dehy. Yeah, anybody's hearing about that tweet that they're saying that the fight, admit you haven't watched the fight. I don't know, Good. Whatever you want. Can't wait, brother. Let's go, Hooney. I agree. What's the guy's name who just tweeted that the fight isn't signed yet? What's your money line? It's up there, Bricks. Go to my post section. I gave you guys 5 parlays. My long money line was 2 days ago. So go to my posts. It's probably 10 posts down. You'll see the 20 legs. We fit the first 4. Guys, anyone getting the Josh Kelly fight? Because I'm not seeing it on YouTube. Boca Chica and De Los Santos with the special upset. Boca Chica, guys, hasn't won a fight since 2021. So if we're doing statistics, statistically speaking, if you want to bet on a guy who hasn't got his hand raised since 2021, you be my guess. I don't see Tiger Johnson even struggling with him. I think Tiger handles him pretty well. And I wouldn't be shocked if Tiger stops him. Tiger at 47, what I saw against Castaneda looked great. He had Norman on Bambi legs. Yeah, Norman was young too, though, guys. I don't let boxing match. Norman's a world champion now. Norman's fixed a lot. Even from fight to fight, Norman's gotten better with his defense. Hamza Shiraz and Edgar. I don't like what I saw Hamza's last fight at 160 against Carlos. I think Hamza, yeah, James knows what time it is. Gold member. I don't think Hamza made the proper adjustments against Carlos. I thought he lost that fight going up to 168 to find new sort of found success. We'll see. The biggest disappointment for 26, Carlos Baudrez. Great name right there, Carlos Baudrez. Yeah, I think based off of, you know, what Berlanga has done, I think Berlanga should handle Hamza. You're right, most of these fighters aren't throwback gliders, but those guys you named are making boxing happy and healthy, but great step up. Yeah, it's an intriguing fight, and I'm not giving my prediction yet, but I think right now I'm leaning on Berlanga to be able to handle Shiraz. I think Berlanga will be kind of impressed with Shiraz's boxing acumen. He has a well-rounded toolbox, but there are holes when he's exchanging, and I think that Shiraz, we'll see if he took a lot of lessons from Adames, because Adames made him pay in the pocket, and after the 4th or 5th round, Shiraz did not want to engage with Adames. So we learned a lot, and I think that if Berlanga's team watches that fight, they learned a lot on the path to beat Hamza, break that body down, get him into a dogfight. Because Hamza looked lost for answers in the mid to late rounds against Adames on what to do, and he almost looked deflated. It was kind of a weird, and then they gave it a draw. I was just appreciative that they didn't strip, that they didn't rob Adames, because we know the draw, you keep your belt. Shiraz really got gifted, 100%. Yeah, maybe 4 rounds. Ozzy Iglesias beats anyone. That's a name no one says a lot. Iglesias is an animal at 68. It's another division that, depending on how this whole Canelo Crawford thing goes, hopefully 168 gets opened up a bit. Shiraz did Ammo dirty. Yeah, and Ammo I like to look at Ammo Williams as a project. You know, Josh Kelly stream above. People talk about, you know, prospects, contenders. I put Ammo in between a prospect and contender. He's like a project. Because we covered that fight against the tough French Canadian last fight, and he struggled. He won a decision, and I won money, but that fight could have went either way. Keyshawn is bad because he has been fighting guys in division. Yeah, we could, whatever it may be. Whatever the reason is, Boca Chica still hasn't won since 2021. That's all I'm saying. Ammo Williams won. Yeah, Ammo, Johnny, I don't think Ammo beats El Chapo. Yeah, it's, you know, Ammo's hard to cheer against. Bro, good, go. There's a reason why Shakur said go fight. He knows. Go, get him, get him. I got Tiger as a favorite, though, hoping Boca upsets. All right, I can see. And you know, whatever your reasoning is, like you keep saying, Boca, his resume, which is fine. But, guys, we know boxing, every round you share with an opponent, you lose a bit of your, you know, it changes you. And sometimes using a really tough resume as your reason for somebody to win a fight against a guy who might not have that tough resume, sometimes that goes against you because that tough resume could take something from your guy. I put 25 on Keyshawn. Yeah, Ammo is great for boxing. I agree. I always watch Ammo's fights. His hormones are shot. Guys, did you there was the fight card in Mexico last weekend. We're talking about hormones being shot. The kid who did Matias knock out last fight in March? Did you guys watch that card in Mexico? Matias knocked, the guy Matias fought last March, he knocked out in an 8-round beatdown. Yeah, Galazzo. It was hard to watch him fight. He was fighting, I think, Luis Rivera, who was a 7-3 domestic guy. And you want to talk about somebody whose nervous system was shot? Watch that fight. And they gifted Galazzo a decision, and I won money on it, and I was happy, but I was trying to cash out. My sportsbook wouldn't let me cash out, but I was like, damn, this dude just got outboxed by 7-3 domestic level fighter, and Galazzo was on the world level, and Matias beat him up so much that his nervous system was shot. You could see it. He couldn't move. His punches were like this. He's in the pocket like this. And everything he wanted to do, he lost all that. He lost all, and that was hard to watch, guys. Because he took that's what boxing does to our, nervous system. Galaz, yeah. It was tough to watch. Yes, Subriel Matias still has that backhand, still punches through the roof. Yeah. But I think Subriel, I don't think Subriel beats Puello. The Alberto Puello, now, we saw Alberto Puello outbox GAR, but then I thought he was gifted a win against Sandor Martin. Sandor Martin, I felt, won that fight, but I think Puello will outbox Matias. Puello's pullback's going to hurt that man. Yeah, Puello is a fun guy to watch. I'm high on Alberto Puello. I love the southpaw. I love everything he does. I love how he goes about his business. He's methodical and workmanlike. I think Matias beats Puello. I don't think Matias beats Puello. I don't know. I don't know where do you guys stand on that? I'll put a poll up. You're doing this again, man. Stop. Please. I don't know what you're talking about. So do you think that Matias beats Puello? Do you think he wins? Matias said he has a rematch clause of Puello, but if Puello declines Matias, he wants a rematch with Pero. Good for him. Matias, he was the boogeyman for a while. Pero fight wasn't a wash. It was a close fight. Gold, where are you coming from? Are you Dominican? I feel like you're from Santo Domingo. Rest in peace, yeah. It wasn't a Japanese guy. Didn't Matias kill Ergashev? Wasn't it Ergashev? Puello's gonna have a broken nose. Tiger money line. I like it, Neil. Matias wants GAR. Lopez after put. Mate, I would definitely. I think GAR beats up Matias. You guys sleep on GAR, man. I put GAR. This is gonna sound controversial. The GAR I saw against Rayo, I put GAR in the fringe top 10 pound for pound. GAR is a monster. Yeah, Dadashev. Yeah, he was unalived. He was killed. Yeah, or I guess YouTube. Yeah, he died. He wasn't Japanese. Yeah. I think he was Dagestani or somewhere around that area. But yeah, it happened with Conwell. Past opponent of Conwell passed away. Any word on Shigoka? Shigoka in a coma. Yeah, man. There's been a lot lately, guys, and a lot of that stuff happens being dehydrated. GAR, Matt Russell Jr. Yeah. Dude, the Russell brothers, man. It just when you hear the name though, you think inactivity, but when you see GAR fight, you think potential. GAR has wins over I think he beat Boots multiple times. Nah, I won a lot of money, read Unalive like it was a 4. I did read Unalive. I was like, what the hell are we talking? Unalive? That dude, he killed that dude. That's a weird word, man. Dadashev was number 2 in the IBF. Yeah, and the hardest part about the Dadashev-Matias fight is hearing Buddy McGirt, I think, begging him to stop the fight. Was it Buddy? And we talked about this once on a live. To hear Dadashev's corner pleading with him in like the 8th or 9th round, it broke my heart. He was like, I need to stop the fight. I want to stop the fight. And he's looking at him. Oh, heartbreaking, man. I get emotional. I come from a town, guys. I don't know how old or young you guys are. Go back to the early 80s. We had a world champion in my hometown, Youngstown, Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Boom Boom Mancini fought for a world title outside in Las Vegas in the heat at 1 p.m. This is back when boxing would do their worldwide of sports and to be broadcast on ABC. And he fought a guy named Dooku Kim. And Dooku Kim, I think was I think he's South Korean. Dooku Kim said that he was leaving South Korea. He was leaving America either a champion or in a body bag. And this was at the time when boxing went 15 rounds. And it was a war. And nobody talks about it. I got to come back to you, Puello. Yeah, come back. Come back. I'm open for it. And then Mancini and Dooku Kim engaged in this war back and forth. And I think at either the end of the 14th or the 15th round, Dooku Kim didn't get off the stool and he passed away in the hospital. And then it took another 2 years for sanctions to pass. But that fight was the pivotal moment in boxing history, why boxing went from 15 rounds to 12 rounds. And that they don't fight in the desert heat anymore. But yeah, you see, it goes, and then you go to the golden era. Man, guys used to, not make it all the time. Johnny, who allowed their opponent were Subriel Conwell or Edwin Valero? Valero is a guy, if you guys aren't aware, is another dude lost in the annals of boxing history because he was a madman. GR is the best all around. All right, we see eye to eye. Hitchens, the best pure boxer at 40. Best pure boxer at 40. I'd still say GAR, man. T.O. most athletic at 40. T.A.O. super athletic. But I still, all these guys you're naming, I don't think beat Gary Antoine. I think GAR beats him. I do, man. And GAR was beating Puello. That was a dark joke because he unalived his wife. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought you were getting at. I was about to go to the box rec. GAR is not a pure boxer. You saying weight classes matter, but still Keyshawn's crazy. Weight classes do matter. Thoughts on T.O. saying he already cleared 140. I don't. It's tough. Yeah, Richardson Hitchens is solid, but best all around boxer at 40. I don't know, man. It's tough. Ray Mancini versus Camacho. Yeah, I was a young boy watching that fight. Hector Camacho. So back to T.O. T.O. kind of, boxing is a sport that needs characters like T.O. I just hope he gets his mental health under wraps because when T.O.'s at his best, he's one of the best fighters in the world to watch. Even though I cheered against him, even though I picked ABJ to win that fight because I was coming off my high horse after he beat Catterall. I thought, we picked ABJ to go to the UK to beat Catterall 3-1 dog. We got that right, and I was just rolling with that momentum. I was like, all right, ABJ is going to find a way to beat Teo. And it was the speed. It was the speed and athleticism. But the dog is there. ABJ's mind was there. His body couldn't keep up with Teo. Teo's super athletic. Valero's tape, if you guys want to watch a highlight tape on a guy who was so dangerous, right? 100% knockout to win ratio? Something like, I think he was 100% knock. And the way he fought, too. He wouldn't just, pick guys apart. He wouldn't wait for guys to he would make you crumble. Hitchens, GAR, why do we want to see Keyshawn fight? Who do we want to see? Somebody said, I'd love to see Keyshawn versus GAR. Keyshawn will win round 7-12. Do you think plus 350? It's worth it. Nathan, it's worth it. I think the extra weight isn't one of the... I don't think this is a case... When you see guys struggle and miss weight by a pound, then it would be like, oh, Keyshawn's in trouble. But he didn't even try to cut. Tito's a beast. We never talk enough about Tito. I need that Keyshawn versus Hitchens fight. Reminds me of Edwin Valero, Duarte. Duarte showed me a lot lately, mate. Oscar Duarte showed me a lot lately. Valero reminds me of De Los Santos. I think Valero was meaner and had a better engine. I think Valero's arsenal was a little bit more on that next level. I could see it though. Good. I'm not gonna argue that. Keyshawn going to get knocked out. Klitschins would lose that one. Keyshawn is not ready for GR. Yeah. All right. We have an educated chat going on. Guys, I gotta run. We're going on an hour. It's 6:38. I gotta hit the city. I gotta spar. It's 6:38 a.m. in Sydney. I appreciate all you guys. Like this video. We got boxing. I'm going to go to the gym and spar. I'm going to come back and jump on a live stream. We got boxing. We got that Hall of Fame card. I got to see if Josh Kelly wins his fight. Good luck to everybody. Hey, even if we disagreed, I appreciate the back and forth. The feed is super respectful, so I salute. And I'll be here in about 3 hours, guys. Let's get this money.